Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Destinations. Today, we're going to talk about a story that has captured the hearts of millions of people across the globe. Yes, today we're talking about BTS. 7 young men from South Korea who started with a dream and went on to become global superstars. But how did they become so popular? What was their life like before fame? What struggles did they face? How did they build such a powerful connection with millions of fans? And what makes BTS different from other music groups? In today's video, we're going to take a journey through the life story, struggles, success, popularity, music, and global influence of BTS. So sit back, relax, and stay with me until the end. Because this is not just a story about fame. It's the story of 7 dreamers who changed the world of music. Let's begin their incredible journey. There was a time when the world didn't know the name BTS. There was no screaming crowd, no huge stadiums, no millions of fans waiting for their next song. There were simply 7 young boys with different dreams, different personalities, and one common goal: to become successful through music. Today, BTS is one of the most famous music groups in the world. But their journey was not easy. Behind the lights, awards, expensive stages, and worldwide fame is a story of struggle, hard work, friendship, pressure, and 7 people who refused to give up. So how did 7 young men from South Korea become a global phenomenon? Let's go back to the beginning. Before BTS existed, each member had his own story. RM discovered his passion for rap and began writing lyrics when he was young. He had a strong desire to express his thoughts through music. Suga also fell deeply in love with music. He spent years working on his skills and dreaming of becoming a successful artist. J-Hope had a natural passion for dancing. His energy on stage would eventually become one of the things people loved most about him. Jimin trained intensely in dance and performance. Pushing himself to Jimin trained intensely in dance and performance, pushing himself to become better. V had a unique personality and a voice that would later become instantly recognizable. Jungkook was the youngest. Even before becoming famous, people could see that he had something special. And then there was Jin. Jin originally had dreams that were not exactly the same as the other members, but life eventually brought him into the world of music. 7 different people, 7 different personalities, 7 different journeys. And somehow they came together. In 2013, BTS made their official debut. But becoming famous did not happen overnight. They came from a relatively small entertainment company, and compared with some of the biggest K-pop groups of that time, BTS did not have the same level of attention or resources. They had to fight for every opportunity. They performed wherever they could. They met fans, they traveled, they practiced, they made mistakes, and they kept going. At first, only a small number of people knew who BTS were, but those people began telling others, and those people told even more people. Something slowly started changing. BTS were becoming known for something different. Their music wasn't only about romance or entertainment. They talked about real life. They talked about school. They talked about pressure. They talked about dreams. They talked about the struggles young people face. And their fans felt that these songs were speaking directly to them. Then their popularity began growing faster. Songs like I Need You, Dope, Fire, and Blood, Sweat, and Tears showed the world that BTS were not going anywhere. Their performances became more powerful, their music became more ambitious, and their fanbase became bigger. That fanbase would eventually become known around the world as ARMY. But the most interesting thing was the relationship between BTS and their fans. The members didn't act as if they were separated from their audience. They shared their lives, their thoughts, their jokes, their fears, and their dreams. Fans watched them grow from young artists into global stars. And that created something much deeper than simply listening to music. Then came a turning point. BTS began receiving attention outside South Korea. People around the world started discovering their songs through social media. Videos were shared. Performances went viral. Fans from different countries began learning Korean lyrics. People who had never listened to K-pop before suddenly became interested in BTS. And then came DNA. The song introduced BTS to an even larger international audience. Their concerts became bigger. Their awards became bigger. Their name began appearing on major international platforms. But the biggest change was still ahead. In 2020, the world was going through an incredibly difficult period. People were stuck at home. Many were afraid. Many were lonely. And during that time, BTS released a song that brought something simple to people around the world: happiness. That song was dynamite. It was bright. It was energetic. It was impossible to ignore, and people loved it. Dynamite became a worldwide hit and reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. For BTS, this was more than just another successful song. It showed that 7 Korean artists could reach the very top of one of the world's biggest music markets. The boys who had once struggled to get attention were now making music history. Then came Butter, another huge international success. Then Permission to Dance. BTS were no longer simply being described as a K-pop group. They had become global superstars. They performed at major international events. They received some of the world's biggest music awards. They appeared on major television programs. They spoke at the United Nations, and millions of people listened to what they had to say. But their success was not only about records. BTS had become symbols of Korean culture around the world. People who discovered BTS started discovering Korea. They became interested in Korean language, food, fashion, entertainment, and culture. That is one reason their impact became so much bigger than music. But behind all of this success was another side of the story. Fame comes with pressure. Imagine having millions of people watching everything you do, every performance, every mistake, every interview, every decision. The members had to deal with enormous expectations. They had spent years working together, traveling together, performing together, and growing together. But eventually, they also needed time to explore their individual identities. The members began working on solo projects and taking different paths while continuing to remain connected as BTS. Then came another important period: military service. For South Korean men, military service is an important part of life, and the BTS members began fulfilling their required service at different times. For Army, it was difficult. Fans had become used to seeing all 7 members together. Suddenly, they had to wait, but waiting did not mean forgetting. The members continued working. They released individual music, they explored new styles, they grew as artists, and their fans remained beside them. Years passed, and then came the moment fans had been waiting for: the possibility of seeing BTS together again. The excitement spread across the world. People who had followed BTS since their early days were still there, and millions of newer fans had joined the journey. That is what makes the BTS story so fascinating. Their popularity did not disappear simply because the members spent time apart. The connection remained. Because BTS had never been only about 7 singers standing on a stage. For millions of fans, BTS represented a period of their own lives. Maybe someone discovered BTS during school. Maybe someone listened to their music when they were lonely. Maybe their songs helped someone continue when life became difficult. Maybe a fan simply found happiness in their music. That emotional connection is difficult to measure with numbers, and that is why BTS became so powerful. They gave people music, they also gave people a message. Dream. Keep going. Love yourself, and don't be afraid to become who you really are. From small stages to massive stadiums, from being underestimated to becoming global superstars, from 7 young dreamers to 7 artists known around the world. The BTS story is a reminder that success doesn't always begin with perfect circumstances. Sometimes it begins with nothing more than a dream that seems impossible, a dream that other people may not understand. But if you keep working, keep learning, and keep moving forward, one day that impossible dream can become reality. And perhaps that is the real reason millions of people continue to love BTS, not simply because they are famous, not simply because they make great music, but because somewhere in their journey, people saw a little bit of themselves. 7 boys started with a dream. That dream crossed borders, languages, and cultures, and eventually, the whole world knew their name, BTS, and their story is still being written. Thank you for watching this incredible journey of BTS. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Destinations. See you in the next video with another amazing story.